Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today I present to you a queen representing the state of Texas from San Antonio. With a career spanning since 1996 in the mortgage business, Dianne brings extensive expertise in the mortgage lending space, financial consulting, and strategic planning. Located in San Antonio, she is recognized for her commitment to prioritizing the unique needs of her borrowers, placing a strong emphasis on teamwork to ensure a positive experience for all parties involved. Outside of delivering optimal solutions for her borrowers, Dianne enjoys planning her next travel destination with her husband, Michael, or cherishing quality moments with her children, Ashley and Sean. Beautiful grandchildren, Garett, AnnaBelle, Sophia, Olivia, and Patrick, and adorable pets, Bronson and Max. Her specialties are she's a mortgage expert in FHA, VA, conventional financing, jumbo loans, non-QM, HELOCs, construction loans, and commercial loans too. She is licensed in Texas, California, Arizona, Missouri, Virginia, Florida, and Colorado. You can get in touch with Dianne at her cell at 210-831-8749 or her email, Steffey at nafinc.com. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Dianne. Good morning, Dianne. How are you today? Can you hear me? Dianne?
Can't hear.
Huh. Let's see here. Can you hear me now? One moment while we try to.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yay! Sorry about that.
Yeah, Dianne, how are you feeling today? Another day, another dollar, another day in paradise.
It's been crazy already, believe it or not.
Nah, good to hear.
I haven't had my phone stop ringing, so I better turn it off right now.
Nah, thank you. It's an honor and pleasure for you to share your time with me today. Dan, what made you want to get into the mortgage space back in the 90s, if you don't mind sharing?
Say that one more time. Let me turn up the volume here. Apologize.
No worries at all. What made you want to serve the people in the mortgage space back in?
Oh, I see. Well, quite frankly, my story is a little bit different than others who come in because they want to help people. I came in because I was fired by my job. And so I had to find something during the time that I was off from family medical leave. It's a different story. But anyway, I got into it firsthand. I saw an ad in the Wall Street Journal. I took the class on how to become a mortgage consultant. And then after that, that's what caused me to propel. I then became so passionate about my work and working with people, especially those who were deserving but couldn't because they didn't understand how to budget. They didn't understand what credit meant, etc. So I have come to, in the past 28, actually going on my 29th year, I've become to love what I do. So it didn't start out the typical way of, oh, I wanted to help people and all that. That wasn't it at all. It was trying to find another avenue in my life, and finding it turned the page for me.
No, I'm glad serendipity is real for you.
It was great. What they say, from adversity comes opportunity. Well, it did. So, and quite frankly, for the past 28, going on 29 years, it's been very successful. Of course, I've had my ups and downs, but for the most part, I have been pretty successful as a loan officer, loan originator, branch manager, owner of a mortgage company. So I've done the gambit. So
yeah, you've seen it all. You've seen it all.
I have.
What was the turning point in your career, you think, where your eyes opened up and you're like, wow, this is so me. Like, I'm staying here for good?
Well, that's a great question. I was in the business for 17 and a half years when I decided, as a broker, when I decided to go into the retail line of business. As a broker, you were responsible for everything, not only the marketing, the HR, the um, going and going and going to the regulations of actually the reporting of reporting of call reports. And it was just everything, and it was so time consuming. And during that time, I gained a lot of weight. And so I decided, and it was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, but I knew that I had to continue on. That was right after, I would say, right after the mortgage crash, when things started, where things were, where our incomes were going from this amount to this amount. So I had to do a lot of soul searching. So it took me about 7 years to figure out that I really needed to do another go a different route in my career. So I was an owner of a mortgage company, and then I shifted to retail. Retail is a totally different aspect of it. While I was at retail, you don't have to worry about anything. You just go and you help originate, and you help people into finding getting approved for a mortgage. So, but during that time, I learned about coaching. Oh my gosh. I was involved in mortgage coaching, and that I was a student, and I learned so much. If I learned what I learned there from the very beginning of my career, no telling where I'd be. But I learned, and I'm a quick student. I learn quickly.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. What was 08 and 09 for you? Like, other, could you walk us through that in
Well, that was during the time where we were seeing mortgages where you were in what we call subprime. That was a subprime world, and with subprime, there was nothing. Subprime is where you get a really high rate for really bad credit. But what they had was what was called the 228 program, where your loan was fixed for 2 years, and then it turned into an ARM in the third year. And what a number of loan officers weren't doing was explaining the ramifications of what was going to happen in that third year. All they wanted to do is to originate that loan, close it, and then, be happy. And during that time, there was no communication of how what you would have to expect to close at bring to closing, and you weren't told really what all the expenses were. It was horrible. And at that time, I will say, lenders were taking advantage of the consumer, and that was really bad. Luckily, I had always taken that good faith estimate. I always did my due diligence of explaining everything about it. And I very rarely got into the 228 program. I did everything I could to get that person approved for an FHA loan. And that time, credit scores for FHA were approved down all the way down to the 400s. It was crazy. A credit score is anywhere from 350 to 850. The better scores anywhere from 600, actually 580 to 800 scores. But during that period, I was able to work on their credit to get them approved for an FHA loan. So I didn't have that impact as a number of brokers did. And what was really good was that I was able to keep my clients, and those that were in the 228 program eventually got into the fixed rate FHA, because I made sure to take care of them during the process. So that was really a scary time for lenders, because then the Dodd-Frank came into being, which is a big regulation that required us as lenders to disclose all the fees, and then disclose those fees 3 days prior to closing, which I thought was a great way of taking care and making sure that those individuals that shouldn't have been in the business got out of the business. Because during that particular time, we had to do our due diligence, and we had to do what was right for the client, for the press, for the buyer, for the borrower, which was great. So Dodd-Frank, although it hurt most of us in the lending business as far as how much we were allowed to charge a borrower, it actually was the best thing that happened in our business, because we were then required to help and educate the consumer on what it meant when they went to closing, how much they had to come to closing. Now, I mean, right now it's great. I mean, we have to document every change that goes into being, that goes through that transaction. So we are always educating and communicating with the buyer or with the borrower. I have a hard time saying the word borrower, so I usually say buyer.
No, then you go above and beyond, giving that full transparency, I would say. But it really sounded like 08, 09. Before that was just the wild, wild west, I would say.
It was. I will tell you, it was pretty interesting that there were just so many crazy things that were being done. I mean, we had silent seconds. I mean, there were just so many. There was so much it was unregulated, and it was great that we finally got the requirement to get licensed, because before, I started in 96, and in 96 there was no license requirements. And then it then became that you had to be licensed, which was great. And that weeded out a lot of people, because you would have to be licensed not only with the state, but with the NMLS, which is the National Mortgage Licensing organization.
Yep. What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about you in today's world?
The most misunderstood thing about me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's an interesting question. If people don't know me, they think that I'm just a really arrogant person. But once they get to know me and in my business, I'm very well known for closing a loan and getting it closed. If I take a loan, I'm going to close it. I'm not always going to be your best friend. I need to get things closed. And so if I have to go over and beyond to get what I need in order to close that loan, I'm going to. I've been called maybe the B word, but that's okay. It doesn't bother me at all. But once people know me, they know that I'm a very charitable, compassionate individual, that my main goal is helping that bar get their home. And I'm passionate about getting work done, but I'm just that way. Someone told me, and I hope I don't offend anybody here, but I've been called a mortgage bad and the other word with it. So I'm going to try to keep it clean here.
I appreciate that, Dan. I appreciate that. You can act as ever you'd like, to be completely honest. What's the most misunderstood business misconception people have about the mortgage, about real estate, you think?
Well, I think a number of things that come to mind. Well, a couple of things that come to mind is, one, that they have to have perfect credit in order to buy a home. That's not the case. We can go all the way down to a credit score of 500. And as long as, for example, FHA, well, we can go as low as a 500 score. And as long as they have at least 10% to put down. And as long as that, when they go through an automated underwriting system, it's approved eligible. The thing that we have to understand the reason for the credit scores being so low. It could have been they had a medical malady that they incurred a lot of hospital expenses, hospital collection accounts, and that shows up, and that does hurt their credit scores. It shouldn't, but it does. And so when I look at that, when I look at every transaction is different. So when I look at the credit score and I see that there is an issue there, that really, if it didn't have that problem with the hospital or that medical problem, they would have had really great scores and they would have been approved. A couple of instances or examples of this is what I had a client, a borrower of mine, come to me, or prospect come to me to want to buy a home. He is still active duty military. He's a pilot in the Air Force, and he had been denied by actually two other lenders. They didn't get to the underwriting portion. They just said, they looked at his credit report and they said they couldn't do it. Mainly because he had 3 mortgage rates in the past 6 months. And when I looked at the credit score, he had a 700 credit score, and he had 3 mortgage lates. Well, I looked at the credit report, everything looked perfect. He had no lates. So that told me that there was a problem there. And so it wasn't a problem with him. It was a problem in how the credit was being reported by the mortgage company that he was with before. Because what he did was he was stationed in a different state. He sold his house. He came to a particular city in Texas, and that's where he was transferred. And so anyway, I started to work. I asked him the questions, found out that he was never late. And so when I looked at how the reporting was, I proved that the mortgage company was the culprit here, and that it wasn't the result of him not making his mortgage payments on time. So I got him approved. But those are misconceptions that if your credit score is low, that you can't get approved. Or if you have to work, if you have several jobs, but you have a 2-year work history, some people think they have to work at a particular job for the same employer for at least 2 years. That's not the case. You just have to have 2 years of solid 2-year work history to qualify. But there are a number of things also that you have to have at least 20% to put down. While that's nice to have 20% to put down to buy a home, it's not a requirement. You can get as low as 0% for a USDA, 0% for a VA home loan, 3% down if you're a first-time home buyer for conventional, 3.5% for FHA. In some cases, depending upon where you are, you can even get a 0% for FHA, depending upon if it's a HUD program. So there are a number of ways a person can buy a home with as little as 0% down. You just have to have the right person to show you.
No, you're completely right. You're completely right, Dianne. You truly do your due diligence, and you're pragmatic. You're very result oriented. I would say I look up to you for that. If you could change one thing about the industry, what would it be and why?
What I would change in the industry, I will tell you, the one thing that really, and I would think that a number of my colleagues would say the same, is builders. Builders offer all these great incentives, but the incentive should be available for everyone. They shouldn't be required to go with that mortgage lender that's assigned or that's owned by the builder. That shouldn't be a requirement. Because the incentives are already caked into the purchase price. And a lot of people just don't understand that. So I would change that. I would say that it shouldn't matter who that particular buyer goes to for their mortgage. That should be up to them. If the builder is giving the incentive, that should be across the board, because that incentive, and you builders know this, that it's in the price of the home already. It's already there. The price of whatever you're paying the realtor is already in there. The price of all the incentives are in there. And if you go with a builder, and if the builder is the one that's giving the rate, that money, that cost of the rate is already counted in not only the price of the home, but also that buyer is going to be paying a discount. There's this thing called forward commitment. And that's one thing that I fault my industry for, the forward commitment, selling blocks of mortgage rates, future mortgage rates to builders. That sounds like a great thing, but that hurt our industry. That hurts the retail loan officer, because it's not giving them a equal playing field. And, for right now, that's okay, because I do have a lot of clients that come to me from the builders, where the builders can't get the loan approved. I get a number of builders will come to me for that. But quite frankly, I wish they would have the availability of going to any lender that they choose.
No, you're completely right. You're completely right. More times than not, you have to go with the builder. But in a few instances, you can negotiate with the builder giving you the closing costs. In case by case. What's the most courageous decision you made recently, and how did it impact you?
Well, I've been with a previous company for almost 5 years, and I excelled quite a bit with that company. And quite frankly, I loved that company, but it was losing its vision, and that was really that was impactful to me because that it didn't go based on what I on my it was going against my core values. And so I chose to go to a new company, New American Funding, and it'll be a year on October the 16th that I've been there, that I would have been there. So I'm very that took me a lot to do that because I'm not one to jump from one company to another. When I commit myself to a company, I'm a very loyal individual. It was a very I had to pray a lot on that because it wasn't something that I chose to do automatically. It wasn't a knee jerking decision. It took me a while to make the decision. It was a lot of prayer, but once I did, I decided very quickly to come to National Mortgage. New American Funding. Sorry about that, and where National came from. New American Funding, and I'm really grateful that I did.
Oh, congrats to me. Congrats on making the move, Dianne. Hope you manifest all your endeavors. Um, what's the next big thing we should expect in this industry, and how are you contributing to it? Do you think you're going to be using artificial intelligence in your work in the near future?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to talk to you about. Artificial intelligence is here, and it's scary because scary to the point that it's really controlling a lot of what we do. If you look at it now, we're already in the digital age where we do everything digitally. Taking the loan application, well, it's going to get to the point where we don't need a loan originator to take the loan or to review the loan. It just goes in. The loan application comes in. It goes into desktop underwriting for the initial review, and then it spits out what the conditions are and such. So I foresee that we may have to compete with artificial intelligence for our jobs.
Well, you bring up an interesting point. Yeah, in artificial intelligence, it can wipe out a lot of jobs. I think truck drivers too could be wiped out too with self driving trucks. So it'll be interesting how this all plays out in 5 to 10 years from now. Dianne, you don't have to answer this, but how do you handle criticism or negative feedback about your work if it's ever occurred?
Well, first of all, I haven't had a negative, knock on wood, in a long time. But I have had it in my experience, in my years. And one came up about 3 years ago, and it was on Google. And I am the type of person that will answer any type of review, whether it be good or bad. But this one was a review that from a person that I've never heard of, and it actually was a bot. And so I went back to my company to see if they could remove it, and they couldn't remove it. That was really horrible. But what I did was to bombard it with a lot of good reviews so that it got to the very bottom. But still, that how I usually handle any discourse or any complaints about me is I handle it up front. I don't mind. I don't like confrontation, but I will go and ask very politely what it is that this person was dissatisfied, how I could have helped that person more. And then I go into telling them exactly what I did for them. And but if you go back to my reviews, you'll see all my reviews I think I have a 4.99% on Zillow, and my reviews on Google are pretty high as well. But you're not going to be perfect. Nobody is perfect. So if you don't get a good review, you should ask, you should confront it in a very positive way by asking the question, how could we have done better? And let me review with you what we did for you. We were able to get you a 4.99% rate. We were able to get you closed earlier than most. Plus, we were able to get you closed using a remote online notarization way where you didn't have to be at closing. You did it across in Italy. And I'm not exactly sure what more we could have done to help you to have a better review, but we wish you well.
Wow, you're very optimistic, I would say. Oh, you're a student of the game, always continuous learning, which is I applaud you for that. What's the story behind your most memorable success or failure that sticks with you?
Oh dear. Um, I think I would say the most success. I think I'm very grateful, and I'm a mother of two. My daughter is 41, my son is 36, and I have 5 beautiful grandchildren, and they're both of them are pretty successful. So I think that one, personally, as a mother, you always want to, you want to make sure that you're raising your children the right way, and that you have them love their love of God, their love of family, the love of work, those three. And so I sit back, and so I would say that that was one of my biggest successes. I'm very grateful for that. Secondly, on the business side, I'm grateful for the business that I have. I can't assign one thing that I identify as success, other than my work. I love what I do. I love working with the people that I do. Of course, I have my ups and downs, but for the most part, I find that being in this business, who would have thought that I would have been in this business for going on 29 years? Not me. But I find it to be pretty exciting and successful. Every single day is a different day, but my success is doing the work that I do and helping people realize their dreams of home ownership, even for those who are on their second, third, or fourth home. I love being able to help with the generational wealth of creating generational wealth in real estate. I love being able to help not only the parents in the past years, but their children and their grandchildren. I really love that. That to me speaks of success of what my whole time in this business has been. So it's kind of interesting because people say, well, when are you going to retire, Diane? I said, well, the word retirement is not in the Bible. So I don't plan to retire. I plan to continue on with my work. And so I'll do this for as long as God allows me to.
No, touche, touche. You don't know how fast time goes until you get there. And it's funny, you always have to ask for the same documents, but it's always case by case the way you have to do it.
Every loan is different. Oh my gosh, every loan is different. And you know, I have to say I do sometimes like what were they thinking? What were they thinking? And sometimes my husband will ask me, why did you take that loan? And I said, it's a good question, but I'm in it and I'm going to see it through to fruition. I will not stop until I get it done. And that's it could be a good thing or a bad thing about me. I'm pretty tenacious. And when I believe in something, I won't stop.
No, yeah, I can see it. You continue to manifest, continue to manifest. You're very goal oriented. Who or what influences you the most in your work?
Who influences me?
Mm-hmm.
I will say the reason I get up every morning are from my children and grandchildren, or each one of them. But that's what influences me. As far as somebody in the business, I have a couple of good coaches that I work with that have helped me throughout the years that I really aspire to, and they're great. But influence, I don't know. I would say I don't have anybody that I would call for advice other than my coaches. But as far as I really don't have an influence. I know that sounds crazy. I do pray a lot. I do listen to the word. I do listen to the Holy Spirit. I do that quite often. So
Nah,
I would say God is my biggest influencer.
Continue to have that blind faith, Dianne. Continue to have that blind faith, and the universe shall listen to you. All right, switching gears a little bit. If you could have dinner with one historical figure or any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. If I had one choice, okay.
Like 2 or 3.
No, I'll just have one. I have to admit, I absolutely adore Elon Musk. He is the most intriguing individual I've ever heard of, read about, listened to. He is an entrepreneurial individual, and I'm that way. I'm very entrepreneurial. I think of things to do, but he is an amazing person, and I cannot believe. Well, he's a genius, quite frankly, to create all these wonderful. I mean, the electric car and all his other projects, SpaceX. It's just amazing. He's just an amazing person. So I would love having dinner with him. I would love to be able to pick his brain. What I would love is to be able to be his mortgage guru, and that he would hire me as his mortgage guru for every one of his employees and be able to give the benefit of my services. And I would do all the loans for all of his employees at a great rate, of course, but I would be his mortgage guru. That's what I would want to be. That to me would be so amazing. But yeah, if it was somebody that I would, he would be the person that I would love to meet.
No, the synergies are definitely there. I want to say his headquarters are in Texas, so I'm sure.
Oh yeah, Austin, about 80 miles away from me.
I don't know. I'm sure you guys would get along just great.
I'm so tempted.
To make it happen, woman on mission. I love it. What's your advice for someone starting out in the industry? Like, if someone were to come to you today to join your team, what's your advice to them having traction in 3 months and really taking off in 2025? Because it usually takes 3 months for what we do today to play out in the future and really stay more time.
Well, sometimes it takes more, especially in this market that we're in. We're not in a market where like 20 or 21, or even when I started in 96, where people were actually excited still about buying homes, even with mortgages in the 8s and the 9% rates. And there, we didn't have a problem with inventory at the time. But now, I would tell a person, if you're serious about getting involved or getting in the mortgage business, first of all, you need to get a good coach. You need to identify exactly what you want, how much income you're going to be that you want. Figure out, but you have to have a good coach, a good mentor to help you through the process. You can't just go in blindly, because you're not going to be able to know exactly what to do or what kind of mistakes you won't know the mistakes of an experienced person if you didn't have somebody to mentor you, to show you the downsides and the upsides of it. So I would tell that person to interview with a number of lenders, make sure that you have good training involved with those lenders. But I would definitely get a business coach, actually a mortgage coach, and not only get involved in a mortgage coach, but also to have a mentor that will help you. Because once you have that, then you can go pretty fast track. And I have loan officers in my team that are doing that. And so I'm coaching them along.
No, you bring up a great point. You learn through trial and error. You learn through someone else's trial and error. And why not cut your learning curve to get ahead of the game?
Oh, yes. There are some people who've been in the business maybe a year or 2 years, and they're just killing it. And they're killing it because they're aligned with a good mentor, a good coach. So steps that you have to take in this business, you'll find that most loan officers don't know what to do on a daily basis. You have to constantly be in front of people. You have to constantly be on the phone. You have to be getting these referral sources in line and doing everything that you need to do on a daily basis. Monday, you make your realtor calls. Tuesday, you do your updates. Wednesday, you do your past clients. Thursdays, you call your prospects. And then Thursday, you call your past clients. And Friday, you call your builders. And then, or whoever you want to call. But you have to have a system in place. If you don't have a system, you don't have a business.
No, you're completely right. Yeah. No, you bring up a great point, Dianne. What's the biggest lesson you learned in your career so far, would you say?
Well, the biggest lesson is that you have to know what you're doing every single day. The biggest lesson is that you have to be in front of people. You have to be able to talk to people about your business, about creating dreams. And so if you're not on the phone calling realtors, if you're not on the phone contacting your business clients, if you're not on the phone contacting your past clients, if you're not on the phone uh, calling business relationships, if you're not on the phone or being in front of a person or not networking, you will not be in this business very long. So the thing that I've learned is that you have to put yourself out there. If you're an introvert, just put it back, get an 8 to 5 job. If you're not willing to do the work, get an 8 to 5 job. But you need to be in front of people. If this is what you want to do, if you want to be successful, you've got to go out there and be in front of all these people, talk to people, see people, do all these networking events. Believe it or not, do also social media is huge. You need to be in front. You need to be in social media. You need to have your videos out in TikTok and Instagram, LinkedIn. So there's just so many different places that you need to be involved in.
No, you're totally right, Dianne. You're totally right. This is the mortgage space is real estate is a contact sport. You need high activity to convert because usually like one out of 100 people, only 3 people are usually in it to buy right now, and then like 18% 6 months, and then like 30% within like the next 2 years, and the other it depends if you can convert or not. And then what's your goals for the next 5 to 10 years? Would you say?
Well, my goal in the next 5 to 10 years. Oh my goodness, you're giving me a lot of time. Well, my goal is I see a turn in the market. So I see that hopefully we'll see rates come down a little bit more. And then I've seen that more people are going to get back into buying, and hopefully we'll have more inventory. But I project with my team and that I want my team, my office, my branch to make at least 100 million for 2025. 2024 is pretty much over, and I've had some newbies in my branch, but hopefully I'll be able to get at least 10 loan officers in my branch by the end of December 31st of 2025. And hopefully by that time we'll have more than 100 million, but I'll start off with 100 million in production.
Wow, no, I hope you manifest. You said you're running a strong ship, I would say. What do you think is the key to maintaining a work-life balance, and how do you apply it in your life?
Oh gosh, I have no clue. I can't say that I'm an expert on that at all. No, I am one that is no, that's a bad question to ask me. I don't have work balance. I really tell you, I don't. And that's one thing that I'm working on because I get involved with, because it's just my husband and I at home. And so I'm working. That's what I love to do. So I need to take more vacations. I need to spend more time with my husband. I need more time at the beach. So I'm telling myself all these, but work balance, I'm really bad at that. I'm worried. I'm terrible. I can tell you what it should be like, but it's not going to be true. You'll find more loan officers are tied to their careers. It's really hard to do that.
No, it sounds like you're in a fulfilling role at least, though, which is a good.
Oh, it is. I do really enjoy the work. If I didn't, I wouldn't take the call.
Thank you, Dan. It's a true honor and pleasure to share your time with me. And what's the most challenging aspect of being in your role in today's world?
What was the most challenging
aspect of being in your role in today's world?
Well, let me just tell you, it's challenging to for right now, and I touched on this a few moments the previous questions. It's challenging to be in this role when you're working with a prospective buyer, prospective borrower, and may have credit issues, and you work to identify those obstacles, and then you overcome those obstacles, and then the realtor um, finds it easy to go and take them to a new build, because that doesn't mean that they have to go and look at properties with them. They'll take them. And I know I may get some realtors mad at me at this, but that's okay. So they take them to the builder because it's easy. And then when I follow up on with my client, they say, "Oh, Dianne, such and such took me over here and I'm buying a new build." Okay, so we're going to go with their company, with their builder's lender. I said, "But we did all this work." And the challenging thing is you can't fault them for it. And so you can't fault them for doing it. But it would have been nice to have been told this before the realtor taking that buyer. And usually it's not usually somebody that I have a relationship with. It's on the realtor side. If I get a client that comes to me and I work with them and I do a really good job, and they go and they find a realtor on their own, that realtor more than likely, and realtors, this, they're gonna take that buyer and they're gonna take them to a different lender. They're gonna take them to their own lender. It happens a lot. I try not to have that happen to me by educating my client, but it happens, and that is one of the challenging things, is to try to develop a relationship with a realtor when they don't want it. That's number one. Two is when they move that buyer to a builder because it's easier rather than going and looking for an existing home. So they get into that existing contract, and then they're under contract, and you can't fault them for doing that. But it's so much nicer to have been told this rather than to work all this, and they get the benefit. We in our business, we cannot charge a processing fee. We cannot charge anything for our work. So all the work that we've done for that particular buyer is down the tubes. So we work for nothing. So that's one of the challenging things that we have. And I wish the word it would be changed. It could change. So where that if you're coming with us, and for example, you in the real estate world, you have a buyer's broker agreement. It'd be nice to have an agreement, and maybe I'm stepping on toes here. My boss probably hasn't heard me say this, but it'd be nice if we were able to have an agreement signed, and we would be charged, and we would be able to be paid for the time that we spent. And if they wanted to go elsewhere, yes, that's great. But all the time that we worked on that loan, and then for them to go to a different lender, or that's one of the biggest challenges that I see. And it's one of the most it's hurtful because you've developed a relationship with a borrower, but you can't, in all honesty, tell that person not to do that. That I have turned away business like that, but they have come to me and they've asked me, and I just say, go with that particular builder. And that's what I feel is what is wrong when we, as a lender, and I know lenders are out to make money. I get it. I work for a lender, but for them to sell the block of business like that, because what they're doing is they're cutting us out of the business, out of the whole transaction, by allowing that builder to buy the tens of millions of dollars of rates and then putting them into that cost, into the price of the home, and into the discount points as well. And then they get the benefit of it. And you'll see that right now builders are doing great because they're building, plus they have these rates that are 4.99%. While we have them, they're paying the discount, but it's been a challenge. That has been a challenge in our industry. And I would challenge anyone to refute that.
No, you bring up a good point, Dianne. You really put a good point. Yeah, that's an interesting concept. Like perhaps like you give the loan estimate, like just in case we have to at least compare also to compare apples to apples to make sure you're getting the better deal at least with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
because you're doing all that prep work and not getting paid is kind of a bummer. So
yeah, I understand that. And they say, well, they have a right to review. Great, no problem. But does it change the way I do business? Will I not work harder, just as hard for that next person? because maybe they're going to go to a different lender. No, I'm not going to change what I do. That's how I work, but it's just not right. But I'm just one person.
Continue to prevail over adversity. There should be like,
God will prevail. God will bring me 3 more. He always says. So
yeah, hopefully it continues to multiply for you. Oh, what's your favorite book, podcast, or article that's had a significant impact on your life or work, would you say?
One of my favorite, well, I will tell you, I enjoy reading. I know that sounds crazy, reading the Bible, but I also enjoy, let me just see here, this book right here. Let me get it. Fanatical Prospecting, and I don't have any commission from this from Jed Blount if I kick this out, but this is a really great book. If you're in the marketing business or it doesn't even have to be real estate. It could be anything that you're trying to sell or trying to build. You're trying to build a business. Fanatical Prospecting is an amazing book to read. And so I read that. As far as podcast, I like to listen to my coach. His name Todd Scrima. He's really good. And that is having to do with the business aspect of it. Because if you're not listening to people in the industry who've been successful, that's another thing that a newbie should be doing, is to listen to as many podcasts or as many people in the business that have been successful. That's real important. But as far as a podcast, I really don't listen to just one. I enjoy the Mortgage Animals. That's a really good podcast. Or actually, Mortgage Coach is a good podcast as well. And that just is going back into the industry. But if you talk to me about other stuff like political stuff, yeah, I have some that I listen to as well.
That's why Carl White has a good part of it. No,
Carl Wright is really good. He is very good.
Yeah. Now, thanks for sharing all that, Dianne. Ladies and gentlemen, go pick up that book if you can. I'm sure it can help your business and your P&L.
It is great. I still go back to it and read it. And there's 7 levels of communication is really good as well.
That's a great recommendation. That's a great recommendation. Then have you ever been like driving in your car, or like on your phone, or like watching TV, and just thought to yourself, maybe if I wasn't in mortgage space, I would like to be doing this. What would have been like another career you would like have dabbled in or put 2 feet in?
Well, before getting into getting my master's, I really wanted to be, when I first started out going to college, my goal was to become a doctor. That was one of the things I wanted to do. But if I wasn't going, I really, and I got into the medical technology aspect of it and decided that that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in business. But if I was going to go and find another career, I would probably be an attorney.
No.
Yep. I love law. I love the law.
No, I think you excel in it. You seem like the type that really would.
I would have been a great attorney.
Yeah, I think you would have.
I know that.
I feel like you would have a great track record, Dianne.
Yeah, or another thing. I mean, my husband says you would have been a great realtor. I said, no, I don't know. I just don't have the patience for that. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because the first house you show is probably not going to sell. So you have to show at least, who knows how many houses you get. I don't know.
There's no way. I'll show you 5. You pick 3. You're going to buy 1. That's it. I'm done.
It's funny. If only if it was that easy.
No, I won't do it. I won't do it. I did it for 1 year and I said, I'm out of here.
That's funny. That's funny. I got 3 more questions for you.
Okay.
What's one piece of advice you wish you had received early in your career? I know you mentioned coaching earlier, but is there any other piece of advice you wish you had received early in your career that could have changed your whole trajectory, been another catalyst, you think?
Well, I really believe that you have to have a good mentor. You have to have somebody that you can talk to. Believe it or not, I didn't start my business out going to realtors. You really need to get into coaching, and I can't stress that enough. But if I had it all over to do again, I would have gone to it's not a plug for this coaching company because I don't go with them any longer, but it's the core. If I would have if I were to have start all over again, that's what I would have done is to get a good coaching,
No,
good coaching.
yeah, yeah. No, so, someone keeping you accountable can go.
You have to have accountability. You just can't do it without accountability. If you don't have accountability, it's going to be difficult for you to aspire to anything. I firmly believe that. So I will tell you that having that accountability, having that coaching, having the structure, you have to have the structure. If you don't have the structure, if you don't know what you're going to do every single day, then that's just not going to work for you.
You're totally right. You're totally right. You gotta have that crystal clear vision of where you want to head to. Dan, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a good chance I rewatch this when I'm old, like 80 years old. Can you leave me a message by chance when I'm rewatching this?
Oh my goodness. What I'm going to tell you when you're 80 years old?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. So I'm hoping that you'll take this information and be able to review the things in your life that maybe have followed, that maybe some of the things that I've come up with and have shared with you will also be something that because you're so young, you're so much younger than me, that you'll be able to take some bits of information from this and be able to drive your own successes from it. It doesn't only have to be with mortgages. We're talking about in everyday life, God, work, family. God, family, work is what the way it should be. But if you identify your goals, identify a plan to get to achieve that you need to follow to achieve your goals, and be able to say, I've done a good job. Every time you go to sleep and you look in the mirror before you go to sleep and you say, I've done good today. Yes, I have. Then you'll be so successful, and you'll remember Dianne Ayala Steffey from that.
Thank you, Dianne. Thank you so much. I'll take that.
You're welcome.
My final and last question. What legacy do you hope to leave behind through your work when it's all said and done?
Well, the legacy that I want is for people to remember me by saying, I did. She was the one that got me my home. She was the one that allowed me to, even when I felt that I couldn't get a home, showed me how I was able to get one. And not only that, she shared with me herself, and she went over and beyond what she needed to do. Even when I felt that I wasn't going to be successful, she was believing in me and believed that I could do it. And so she shared with me her life, her time, and she's called me and spoke to me at any time that I called her. So I'm extremely grateful. So those are the things, that's what I want to leave behind. And for the most part, I feel like I have.
No, I think so too, Dan. I truly believe you give that sense of hope to the consumer sentiment. That I think we got something here. I feel like you're the type of person that says that, which is giving them like a sense of hope, like that anything is possible. I'm sure.
Anything.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing all that. I'm sure you'll leave your mark in this world. Do you have any last final comments, thoughts, or questions before I let you go?
I just want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak about me. I really, I really don't. When I'm thinking about what I do in life, and I really don't think about it a lot. And just the past 30, 40 minutes, I've really thought about, geez, I've done quite a lot. And so I'm very proud of what I've done in my life. I'm very proud of the business that I've created and built up. I'm very proud and very humbled by the people that entrust their goals of home ownership to me. I take it very seriously. I love what I do, but I love more about giving and making that family, that person, that very happy, and knowing that they have somebody that has their back, that will help them. So I'm very grateful. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you and to talk to everybody.
No, of course. I know that there's levels within levels, and you're at the highest. You're helping families build generational wealth for years to come and decades to come. And you're hoping, like you said, you're hoping the employees in your branch, you're hoping their trajectories in life too, leaving a better society. So you honestly are. I'm grateful for you being here today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, can you stay on the call for 1 or 2 more minutes after I hit end, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from a queen from Texas. Go get in touch with her. Dan, how do you like to get in touch? Through text or email or call?
You can text me at 210-831-8749. That's 210-831-8749. And I'm over 9 states, so it's just not Texas. So if you're in California, Florida, Missouri, Arizona, Colorado, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Florida, I don't know if New Mexico, call me. I'm here to help you. If there's a situation or any scenarios you want to talk through, give me a call. I'd be happy to help.
Ladies and gentlemen, give her a call. She'll take care of you with that 5-star customer service.
You bet.
Thank you, Dianne, for your time.
You're welcome.